Today, we are going to discuss a book that will teach you how to use your mind to become a mastermind, just like Sherlock Holmes. If you're not familiar with the name Sherlock Holmes, let me tell you, he is one of the most famous fictional detectives in the world. Created by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Sherlock Holmes remains as fascinating to people today as he was in the past. Sherlock Holmes notices the small details that most people overlook, and from those, he builds theories that turn out to be correct every time. Have you ever wondered if you could think like Sherlock Holmes too? In today's video, I'll show you how you can enhance your problem-solving and decision-making skills by applying the techniques he uses in your daily life. As you've probably noticed, we all face various decisions and problems every day. But what if you could solve any problem or make tough decisions as easily as Sherlock Holmes? It's possible, but you need to train your mind the way he did. Before diving into those techniques, let's first explore one of Sherlock Holmes's stories to better understand what makes him such an extraordinary detective. The cold, foggy nights of London have always been mysterious and filled with danger, but the case Sherlock Holmes faced this time was not only strange but terrifying. This is the story of the Red Skull mystery, which had thrown all of London into chaos. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson were enjoying a quiet evening at home when there was a loud knock on the door. The door opened, and a frightened woman entered, fear clearly visible in her eyes. She introduced herself as Mrs. Elizabeth Martin, the wife of a prominent businessman in the city. "Mr. Holmes," she said in a trembling voice, "my husband has been murdered and a red skull mark was left near his body. The police have failed to solve the case, and now I seek your help." Holmes calmed Mrs. Martin and gathered all the necessary information. Mr. Martin's body had been found in his office, with a red skull symbol drawn near it. This red skull was linked to other murders happening across London. Holmes immediately started his investigation. He and Watson went to Martin's office, and upon seeing the scene, Holmes had a strange feeling. Everything in the room appeared normal, but one thing caught Holmes's attention: the red skull mark, which seemed to be drawn with blood. Using his special magnifying glass, Holmes inspected the mark. It wasn't something made by an ordinary person. The lines were so precise that it seemed as though it was carefully crafted. "Watson," Holmes said, "this is no ordinary criminal. This mark belongs to someone highly skilled, and we need to take this case very seriously." As Holmes delved deeper into the investigation, he found that the red skull symbol wasn't just found in Mr. Martin's office, but in other parts of London as well. What could this mark signify? Holmes pondered deeply and realized this was no ordinary crime but something far more sinister. He discovered that all the places where the mark was found were somehow linked to a secret organization known as the Red Skull. This organization was targeting wealthy individuals in London, pressuring them to meet its demands. Holmes dug further and soon learned that this organization was a secret union of some of London's prominent businessmen and leaders who used the Red Skull symbol to intimidate their opponents. But Mr. Martin's murder puzzled Holmes. After all, Martin was part of this union. So, why was he killed? Using his logic, Holmes deduced that Martin had tried to go against the union, and that's why he was eliminated. Holmes, along with Watson, devised a plan to expose the organization. He asked Mrs. Martin to invite all the businessmen to her husband's funeral. Holmes had already woven the entire case into a trap. At the funeral, he observed concern on the faces of some businessmen. The police were also involved by now. As soon as the funeral ended, Holmes, in his signature style, addressed the crowd. "Mr. Martin's murder was part of a well-thought-out conspiracy, and you all are involved in it." The businessmen were shocked. Holmes presented solid evidence against them which he had collected during his investigation. You thought you could spread fear in this city and succeed in your plans, but you forgot that in the world of crime, "Nothing can escape Sherlock Holmes," he declared. Ultimately, the Red Skull organization was exposed, and all the culprits were arrested. London was saved from a major threat, and Holmes wrote this complex case in his diary, adding another brilliant chapter to his career. For Holmes, this was just another case, but his observation and logic once again proved that no mystery in the world is beyond his rational mind. Whenever Sherlock Holmes solves a case, his greatest strength lies in his power of observation and attention to detail. He doesn't just see what's in front of him, he notices what escapes the eyes of a normal person. This is what sets him apart from others. As Holmes says, "You see, but you do not observe." This statement means that we often look at things superficially without diving deeper into them, whereas Sherlock focuses on every tiny detail, no matter how insignificant it may seem. This is why he is so successful at solving any case. You too can improve your observation and attention to detail, just like Sherlock Holmes. Here are a few practical tips. First, whenever you look at a situation or an object, observe it thoroughly. Pay attention to its color, texture, size, and the things surrounding it. For example, when you enter a room, carefully observe the layout and placement of objects in that room. Second, when you're talking to someone, don't just listen to what they're saying. Also focus on their body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice. This will help you understand their emotional state and mindset better. Third, play games that improve your memory and increase your ability to focus on details. For instance, enter a room, observe everything carefully, then step out and write down as much as you remember. This will enhance both your memory and observation skills. Fourth, try to spot small details in everyday things. For example, while reading an article, look for grammar mistakes or small inconsistencies. To understand the power of Sherlock Holmes's observation and attention to detail, let's take a look at an example. Once, Dr. Watson and Sherlock Holmes were sitting in their room. Sherlock asked Watson, "How many times have you seen these stairs?" Watson replied, "Hundreds of times." Sherlock then asked, "So, how many steps are there?" Watson didn't know, but Sherlock answered, "There are 17 steps because I've not only seen them, I've observed them." This example shows that Sherlock doesn't just look, he observes everything and stores it in his mind. This is why he understands things better than others. Observation and attention to detail can make a big difference not only in your professional life, but also in your personal life. If we, like Sherlock Holmes, develop our observation and attention skills, we can start seeing things from a new perspective and improve our problem-solving abilities. Always remember, you see, but you do not observe. This small difference can help solve even the greatest mysteries. Lesson 2. The Brain Attic: The Importance of Memory and Its Management. To explain Sherlock Holmes's mind, Maria Konnikova uses a very accurate and interesting metaphor, the brain attic, or the storage room of the brain. With this metaphor, she tries to show that our brain is like an attic, where we store memories and information. However, just like an attic becomes disorganized when filled with unnecessary items, the brain becomes cluttered if filled with useless information. According to Holmes, our brain is like an attic with limited space, so we should store only what is truly important and useful. Sherlock organizes his thoughts and memories in such a way that whenever he needs specific information, he can find it quickly. In reality, our brains also have limited resources and capacity. If we fill them with useless information, we won't be able to store the essential and important data. That's why we need to decide which information to keep in the brain's attic and which to discard. One of Sherlock's key principles is that only the information important to our lives should be stored in the brain. This is called the principle of selective memory. Once we get rid of unnecessary information, the brain is left with only what is useful to us. Whenever we need to solve a problem, this essential information is readily available, allowing us to think faster and make more accurate decisions. For example, if you need to remember various mathematical formulas, you should focus on the sources that are useful to your daily needs. Useless information only takes up space in your brain's attic and makes it harder to access important information. Just like any attic needs regular cleaning and organizing, our brain's attic also requires upkeep to ensure that only the most useful and relevant information is stored. We should regularly discard unnecessary information to keep our mind sharp. Sherlock Holmes believes that when we keep only important information in our brain's attic, it provides us the ability to quickly find and use it whenever needed. Additionally, we should regularly refresh our memories and knowledge to ensure that we don't forget crucial information. For example, it is important to review and repeat what you've learned from time to time, so that the information stays safe in your mind and is easily recalled when needed. Lesson 3. Imagination and creativity. Their role in problem solving. Sherlock Holmes is often seen as a logical and fact-based individual, but a large part of his success lies in his imagination and creativity. When faced with a problem, he doesn't just rely on the available facts, but also uses his imagination to explore different possibilities and scenarios. This is what sets his thinking apart from others. Holmes's ability to imagine gives him the power to view any problem from a new angle. If he only relied on facts, he might fail in many cases, but through the use of imagination, he explores every potential direction, which helps him find the solution. When we encounter a problem, we often take the routes we already know. But if we, like Sherlock Holmes, use our thinking in a new way, we can find solutions beyond normal thinking. Creativity means being able to look at a problem from different approaches and finding a solution through new and unique methods. Sherlock often sees aspects that others overlook because he uses his imagination to understand different possibilities. For example, if he is at a crime scene, he doesn't just look at the order of events. He also imagines what might have happened if things had been different. This creative thinking often leads him in the right direction. Another important technique used by Sherlock Holmes is the visualization of scenarios. Whenever he faces a problem, he imagines different possible outcomes in his mind, which helps him understand which path is most suitable and what result can help him achieve his goal. Visualization means that you imagine different outcomes ahead of time and then analyze which result would be the best for you. This process also helps you become aware of potential risks and challenges. For example, if you imagine the result of a decision, you can already understand the positive and negative aspects of that decision, allowing you to make a better choice. Sherlock visualizes different events in his mind and then analyzes those scenarios to reach the right conclusion. This not only helps him avoid mistakes, but also guides him in the correct direction. If you want to develop your creativity and visualization skills like Sherlock Holmes, here are a few tips. Never adopt just one way to solve a problem. Think from different viewpoints and consider new ideas. Mind mapping is a way to systematically organize your thoughts and generate new ones. This helps you see and compare different options at the same time. Regularly practicing meditation and visualization can calm your mind and boost your imagination. Whenever you face a problem, ask yourself questions like, "What if this happens?" or "What if I make this decision?" These types of questions lead your mind to new thoughts. Lesson 4. Emotional control. Whenever Sherlock investigates a case, he puts his emotions aside and focuses entirely on logic and objectivity. This emotional detachment helps him think clearly and fairly, allowing him to reach the right conclusions without any personal bias. Emotions have a deep effect on our decision-making process. When we face a problem, emotions like fear, anger, or excitement can cloud our logical thinking. Holmes teaches us that if we learn to control our emotions, we'll be better prepared to face any challenge. This emotional control inspires our thinking to be clear and purposeful, teaching us to remain calm and logical in the face of challenges. According to Stoic principles, we should focus on things we can control and not waste time or energy on things we cannot change. This approach keeps Holmes calm and logical even in difficult situations. So, friends, this was today's book summary. Let us know how you liked it by commenting below, and thank you for listening until the end.